There is a game men play. It's an international game of violence and brutal contact. It's a game more dangerous than professional football, more vicious than boxing. A game where disputes are often settled in blood. It's a game played with a lethal weapon, a 3-inch disc of hard rubber. The disc is hurled through the air at speeds above 100 miles an hour at a man whose job it is to stop it. It's a high-speed game of endurance, 3 20-minute periods of contact. It's played on 16,000 square feet of ice in Market Square Arena. It's called professional hockey. When the Indianapolis Racers play hockey, it's not as much the winning or losing as how they play the game. They play it rough.
The Indianapolis Racers opened the 1975-76 season with a 7-1 victory at Denver, Colorado, over a team made up of former Chicago Cougars. But then the Racers lost 3 in a row on the road at Edmonton, Calgary, and San Diego. Things did not turn any better when the Racers returned to Market Square Arena. They lost their home opener 6-4 to the Denver Spurs they had beaten in the opener. Immediately after the game, the Racers made a coaching change.
After dropping a 5-3 or a 6-4 decision here to the Denver Spurs tonight, the Indianapolis Racers president and general manager Jim Browett announced that Jerry Moore has been fired as coach of the Indianapolis Racers, and his replacement as interim coach is Jacques Demers. Jacques, of course, is director of player personnel for the Racers, as well as having worked with me for color for the last 4 games on the road. Jacques took over and said that it was a shock to him. He did not expect it. He has not even had time to inform his wife that he is the new coach, and as a matter of fact, said that the only thing he would try to do was to do his best.
With Jacques Demers now at the helm, the Racers' losing streak continued in his first debut as a coach, losing 2-1 to the Minnesota Fighting Saints as Jack Carlson scored a goal midway through the 3rd period to give the Saints a victory. But then the Racer fortunes turned for the better. It started when Andy Brown stopped 35 Houston shots and blanked the Arrows 4-0. It was the first time in 165 games the 2-time winners of the Avco Cup had been blanked. But the Racers needed some offense, and Bobby Whitlock provided the Racers' winning goal with less than a minute and a half left in the 2nd period.
Back behind the net, fed to the right-hand side, picked up by Whitlock. Whitlock behind the net gets it to Bob Sosinski. The plug, is it in? Picked out in front of the net, slides on net, save, a rebound, Whitlock shoots, a goal! It's 1-0 Racers, Bobby Whitlock. The Racers lead 1-0, Bobby Whitlock. He gets the goal at 18:57, jamming it by Ron Graham. Super game!
On October 30th, the Racers lost a 7-5 game at home against the Calgary Cowboys. But for only the 2nd time in the brief history of the Indianapolis Racers, a player, namely Randy Wyrozeb, scored 3 goals in a game.
Claxon will knock it down. He does at the race line, slides it over the near boards to Pat Stapleton, back to Claxon. Claxon ahead to Brian Coates. Coates trying to skate around Chris Evans. He does deep in the right-hand corner, gives it to Wyrozeb, backhanded shot, he scores! Randy Wyrozeb, 3 goals, a hat trick for Randy Wyrozeb. It's 6-5 and the Racers are back in it. Giazio still can't come out of the penalty box. He has to go back. He's out, but he got to go back. The Racers back in the hockey game now as Randy Wyrozeb gets the Racers hat trick, the 2nd ever. A hat. I think it's Sonny Roberto's hat. It is Sonny Roberto's hat, or a hat that looks very much like it. Here's the call on it.
Period number 3. Scored by number 6, Randy Wyrozeb. The hat trick for Wyrozeb. Assists by number 18, Brian Coates. And number 4, Kim Claxon.
Through the month of November, the Racers vacillated between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position in a tight duel in the Eastern Division with Cincinnati, Cleveland, New England, and the Racers themselves. During the month of November, the Racers put together a 3-game winning streak. Winnipeg, Cleveland, and New England were the victims, the Racers winning those games between November 27th and 29th. Then, after losing at home to the Denver Spurs 4-2, the Racers started December with a streak of 4 games without a loss. The first game was against Cincinnati, and they thrashed them 7-1, a game in which the Racers set several league records. First, 6 power play goals in 1 game. Defenseman Pat Stapleton turned in 6 assists during the game, also a league record for defensemen. But it was Nick Harbrook's even-handed goal that was the winner for the Racers in that one.
Harbrook trying to go into the left-hand corner, ridden out of the play. With it is Inkpen, cuts around behind the Racing net. He'll run into a gang of trouble there. Lost the puck. Reggie Thomas trying to slide it out in front. He bangs it there. See who has back, and a goal for Nick Harbrook! Nick Harbrook ties it up! His 20th goal! Nick Harbrook in front! taking the pass from Reggie Thomas. It's 2-2.
The second win in a row was over the Cleveland Crusaders 3-2 on December 6th. It was that game that propelled the Racers into first place for the first time in their 2-year history. And it was Billy Prentice's goal that was the margin of victory for Indianapolis.
Harrison on the faceoff with Whitlock, controlled by Bobby Whitlock. Good play by Bobby. Heads to center ice, looks for Heater on the right wing, tries to feed it to him by Paul Schmier. Heater coming in on the right wing. He's got Prentice breaking down the middle, slides to Prentice. He scores! 3-1 Racers! Prentice on a great play. He was the trailer. Came in breaking down the slot and nobody touched him. And you got to give a whale of a lot of credit to Murray Heatley. Made a great play with Paul Schmier all over him. And the Racers lead 3-1.
With only seconds left on the clock, seconds between first place and a Racer victory, we counted down those final precious 9 seconds.
Jimmy Harrison and Bobby Sosinski on the faceoff. Sosinski wins the draw, flips it in the Cleveland zone. 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, no icing, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. Cleveland getting it to center with 3 seconds, with 2, with 1. The Racers are in first place! The Racers are in first place. They win it 3-2. Andy Brown mobbed by his teammates. 11,223 happy Racer fans. Indianapolis is the
winning streak
scoreboard.
continued at Phoenix at the expense of the Roadrunners 2-1. The Racers have made numerous changes during the course of the season. One was the addition of Blair McDonald from Edmonton. His first game was at Phoenix, and he paid immediate dividends by scoring this winning goal.
Carlander carrying down the left side, comes in across the Phoenix line, cuts for the middle, wheels it right side to Blair McDonald. He shoots, he scores! All right.
The rest of December and January for the Racers was less than successful. During the month of January, the Racers won only 5 out of 15 games. And then came the month of February, where during the course of 2 successive weekends, the Racers lost 5 games by 1 goal. Many observers counted the Racers out in the fight for the playoff spots in the Eastern Division, but the Racer players did not. Their comeback started on February 28th. Down by the count of 2-0 in the first period of New England, Kim Claxon, the Racers' tough man, took on Nick Fotiu in a fight that was not only to climax a Claxon win in the fight, but turn the game around.
Face-off control by Stapleton. Stapleton tries to have it taken away from him. Behind now, Claxon and that was Fotiu. Claxon getting in a left. Another left, another left, another left, another left, another left. A right by Claxon, a left by Claxon. Fotiu and Claxon going at it. What a fight. Left and right, left and right. They both got each other. Claxon definitely getting the best end of Nick Fotiu. Definitely the next best end. Timmy raising his hand. He beat Fotiu. He beat him in a head-up fight, and he beat him good.
The Racers continued their comeback by scoring a goal with Dick Prosiviat, making it 2-1. Then Frank Rochon tied a club record by scoring a goal in his 5th consecutive game. It came just before the talented left-winger suffered a fractured wrist that was to sideline him for the rest of the season. But here's the goal that Rochon scored that set the club record.
Face-off. Patterson on the draw is controlled by the Racers. Prosiviat flips it to Darryl Maggs. Maggs takes it around behind the net, feeds in the left-hand corner, chasing it down are Frankie Rochon and Dick Prosiviat. To center ice, it comes to Patterson. Patterson to Rochon. Rochon breaks in. He's there. He shoots. He scores! We tie it up. Landon out of the net completely. Rochon with a great play as he got around Landon, came in and scored the 5th goal in 5 games for Frankie Rochon, and the Racers have tied it up at 2-2.
The Racers then fell behind in the same contest 4-2 going into the final period. And it was a case where the Racers could have given up and ended the season right there, but they didn't. They battled back, and with 1 minute and 20 seconds left in regulation, Renaud Leclerc, yet another newcomer to the Racers, tied it up.
Harris gets it back to Pat Stapleton, still in the Racer zone. Okay, over it comes to Hugh Harris. Harris at center ice, gets to the blue line, gives it back to Stapleton. Pat starts the rush in across the Whaler line. Cuts the middle, right side to Rennie Leclerc. He booms it, he scores! Rennie Leclerc scores to tie it up! Time of the goal, power play goal at 18:40. The Racers have tied it. Renaud Leclerc gets the goal for the Racers, and it's a 4-4 hockey game.
After the Racers' 4-4 overtime tie with the New England Whalers, it was a short night that sent the Racers on into Cincinnati for an afternoon game. With Rochon sidelined because of the fractured wrist, the Racers had called up Brian Coates from Mohawk Valley. Coates paid immediate dividends by scoring a goal and assisting on 2 others to be named the #1 star in the Racers' 5-2 victory over the first-place Cincinnati Stingers. Coates' goal in the first period was enough to get the Racers on the right track.
Face-off control by Wyrozub, back to the point to Stapleton. Stapleton winds up, feeds to Wyrozub in the slide. It goes to Coates. He shoots. He scores! Brian Coates makes it 2-1 Racers. Power play goal by Wyrozub, or by Coates from Wyrozub, and the Racers lead it 2-1.
In the same afternoon, Hugh Harris, yet another newcomer from the start of the season, having been picked up in January from Calgary, paid dividends by scoring twice. His fourth goal put the game away for the Racers, and then his fifth, an empty net goal, climaxed a great afternoon in Cincinnati.
Reggie Thomas on the faceoff wins it, gets it back to Brian Baltimore, poked over his stick, but Kenny Block knocks it down. Down goes one of the Stingers. Puck along the boards, worked out to center ice with play by Cincinnati. Mike Pellick at his own line. Pellick gives it back to Plum. Plum has it stolen by Hugh Harris. He's in on a breakaway. Harris is there. He shoots. He scores! Hugh Harris! 4-1 Racers! Hughie Harris and the Racer bench is alive! Hughie Harris on a breakaway, and it's 4-1 Racers. Gives it to Darryl Maggs, who shoots it out to center ice. Play by Hugh Harris. Poke checked away. 2-on-1. Harris and Carlander. Harris booms. He scores from the empty net. 34 seconds. Hughie Harris, second goal of the night. Racers lead 5-2.
The Racers' streak stopped with a 5-2 loss at Phoenix, but started immediately again as the Cincinnati Stingers were yet another victim of the Racers. Big Mac scored 2 goals in the middle period to give the Racers a 3-1 victory and move them to within 6 points of a playoff spot. Here are the 2 goals that Brian McDonald scored on that big night.
Rowe at center ice with a couple of black shirts on him, gives it to Brian McDonald. Brian turns in his own zone, flips it back to Brian Baltimore, cross ice to Kenny Block, crowd loving it, to center ice to Brian McDonald. Brian comes in across the line, winds up, booms, a shot, he scores! A short-handed goal! Brian McDonald! Racers lead 2-1! You just felt it coming! They were controlling the play, doing everything they had to, and Big Mac rolled in like a runaway truck on the right side and boomed it by Hoganson. The Racers lead 2-1. Carlander across in front. It goes to Big Mac. He can't get the shot away. Goes to Blair McDonald again. Blair deep in the right-hand corner. Centers to Big Mac. He shoots. He scores! Brian McDonald again from Blair McDonald. Racers lead 3-1. Brian McDonald. Oh, what a shot. He went upstairs on Hoganson, and Hoagie had no chance. Big Mac's second goal of the game, his 10th of the year. Racers take a 3-1 lead.
The Racers climaxed a great week at the expense of the Cincinnati Stingers by beating the first-place club for the 3rd time in less than 6 nights. It came on March the 6th at Cincinnati as the Racers won 3-2. The hero, yet another newcomer from the start of the season, Brian Baltimore, whose goal midway through the 3rd period gave the Racers a great 3-2 victory, with Jim Park recording his 3rd straight victory and goal for the Racers over Cincinnati.
Eddie Scarf comes in on the right wing. Scarf is there. Scarf is pulled down. The call against Cincinnati. Dug out by the Racers. Back it comes to Baltimore. Baltimore closes in. All the way. He shoots. He scores! Brian Baltimore! Racers lead 3-2. Brian Baltimore on a delay penalty. The Racers' big defenseman booms his first Racer goal. His second of the year, and the Racers lead 3-2.
Inside the Market Square Sports Arena, the Indianapolis Racers are facing the music. If you aren't into hockey, come for the concert. $4 will buy you a great organ concert ticket, and we'll throw in the hockey game free. When the Racers play hockey, it isn't as much the winning or losing as how they play the game. They play it rough.